You know, one of the most unique speaker brands in our industry is Wisdom Audio. Hi, I'm Joe with Gramophone, and Wisdom Audio gives us a chance to do a lot of things with upper-end theaters that we just wouldn't be able to do otherwise. And today we're here with Joe Walters of Wisdom. Joe, how are you?
Hey, I'm great, Joe. How about yourself?
Good, great to see you again.
Good. Yeah, welcome to 2025 CEDIA.
Thank you. So maybe what you can do to start is just kind of give our viewers a glimpse of how Wisdom thinks about audio reproduction and why you're so much different than so many of the other speaker manufacturers that have very good sounding products, but they're not Wisdom.
That's correct. That's right. So there's really three key things to Wisdom Audio. We are an American manufacturer. We are Carson City, Nevada. We build everything in-house, including our electronics, which is a big thing in today's crazy environment, I guess we'll just call it that, right? So that's number one. Number two is we use a product that's line source. So line source, this is a line source speaker, and line source works differently from a point source speaker, and we make point source speakers as well, but line source works differently because it gives you sound that comes off like a cylinder, so it's not radiating to the floor and the ceiling, which gives you much more direct sound. And the third thing that separates us is we use planar magnetic drivers. Every loudspeaker that we build, with the exception of subwoofers, because they don't make high frequencies, uses a planar magnetic driver. This is a 24-inch planar magnetic. That's actually the driver that's right inside there. This thing plays 6 octaves, so it's up playing all the way from 350 hertz all the way up to 20K. So that clarity range that you have where your ears are most sensitive in that 2,000 to 3,500 hertz range, where your ears really focus in on the different frequencies, there's no crossovers, there's no anything in there. You have one driver doing all of that stuff. Plus with that line source technology, you just get awesome clarity, sound over distance, very equal sound over distance, and just high dynamics and super high output, very low distortion.
So Joe, let's just kind of cover quickly a couple of the benefits of the things you've talked about. The first one, being American made is not simply a pride thing. You guys have a level of control over quality that is just really different from most of our vendors, because if something's going wrong in the manufacturing process, you guys know it virtually immediately. The second thing is, some of our listeners might not quite have grasped that this line source concept means that almost anywhere in the room, you're getting a great sound quality. You can be standing right in front of the speaker, or you can be 20 feet away, and it sounds really good.
It's very consistent sound, that's correct.
Right. So
Yes.
you guys are a consistent manufacturer for us. We don't get bad Wisdom speakers by and large, or amplifiers, of course, because you're making the amps too. But again, there's a uniformity of sound throughout the room that's just different than a standard dynamic speaker.
Yeah. A real big benefit of this type of a product, and a new product that we have a patent pending on, I'll show you momentarily, is really you're increasing the sweet spot in a theater, in a room. We'll show some other stuff for outside now. You know, a point source speaker, which again, we make point source speakers which have an application. But in a theater, line source is going to be the best option to have the largest amount of area that's going to be very consistent in sound. Instead of just one seat, you know, you can have 10, 12, 15, 20 seats that we can have very uniform coverage.
And in an era in which we're doing, I would say, relatively fewer dedicated theaters and more media rooms, you know, a basement or a living room where there's lots of people milling around. So the fact that there are so many areas of the room that just have this wonderful sound quality is one of the big differences between a Wisdom theater and any of the other theaters.
And when you talk about media rooms, living rooms, dining rooms, kitchens, all that kind of stuff, we've all been to a party and there's a nice big set of speakers in the corner of the living room, and the party host has them cranked up, but there's nobody in the room because it's so loud. One of the big benefits of a line source speaker is not only can you be in the room, you can be out of the room, and the experience is the same. Plus, the distortion is so low that you can literally carry on a conversation when something's playing relatively loud and be able to talk and hear each other, just because that distortion level is so much lower. You know, you compare a tweeter, which is this big, to a line source high frequency driver, which is, you know, 48 inches tall. There's a big difference in output, clarity, distortion, all that stuff is just so much better with this type of a product.
So you're really bringing together a lot of the best qualities of audiophile sounding product into theater style
Yes.
installs, and we love it. So
Yes.
If you have a chance to stop by our Timonium store, we'll blow you away with a demo in that one of our Wisdom Theater. So Joe, maybe we can now transition a little bit, start talking about, you have quite a few new things this year.
We do have quite a few new things this year. All right, so what we're going to talk about now is the brand new Sage Cinema VCA 16 Perfect Array. And this has a lot of unique properties in it. It's been years in development. We've had it under wraps for quite a while because we were waiting on our patent approval, which we just received on September 2nd. We received our patent pending on the new curved planar magnetic driver. What separates this from traditional Sage Cinema products, and this is part of the Sage Cinema line, so the voicing, all that stuff is consistent through Sage Cinema. Sage Cinema, when we were just talking about a line 2, you've got a much larger box, it's very wide, it has very good characteristics for sound across the room, but there are some limitations where you have to angle things and you have to have things just right to make it work properly. And we didn't really have a great solution that didn't involve a lot of construction. With the new VCA 16, this gives us a lot of different applications for surround channels at the moment. This will transition to a completely new line of products eventually, but this is the first one in the line. What this does is it allows us from 3 feet to 20 feet to have perfect coverage in a room. So for side channels, rear channels, we can give consistent sound coverage all the way across the rows so that it doesn't matter where you're sitting from left to right. It's going to be very consistent within a very small deviation from left to right or front to back. That's a huge thing for us. The second thing it allows us to do is the array, the planar magnetic driver up here, actually is rotatable.
Wow.
So no matter where you're mounted, you can rotate that PMD so it's directly firing at the reference listing position, which RP22, DCI, Dolby Professional, all require those types of things to hit their spec. So this product not only will give us the ability to do that at reference level, it also allows us to get in now into the Dolby DCI spec book, which in the past, we've done a lot of DCI theaters with Wisdom, but we're never allowed to be in the Dolby spec, which is an odd thing, but now we have a product that allows us to do that. Output, it's very similar to what a Line 2 is. It's more than what a L8i, so we have the L8i, which is just a base model line source product, and then you jump up to Sage Cinema. What's nice about this is it kind of slots in between there because it's single channel. It doesn't require biamplification like a Line 2 does. So you eliminate 1 amp channel per speaker, which is a big savings from a price standpoint. It also is very flexible in its installation. If you do have to do some angling, say you've got a very steeply raked theater and you have to have some angle on your speaker. In the past, the guys in construction would have to redo the framing in the walls. Well, now we've got a brand new bracket that allows us to actually do the angles automatically, and the angles are marked on here. The speaker literally just hangs on there. So you can either do this as an on-wall, it can go between the studs, and you can still, angle that product. Another thing that's unique about this is Sage Cinema traditionally has only had a metal grill protecting the planar driver. This one will have a metal grill to protect that, but we are also going to make a cloth grill to cover the entire speaker. So it will be able to be used in more architectural applications where it's visible, but you won't actually see the speaker.
That's awesome. And Joe, because every room is a little bit different, what you're really doing here is, and again, for now it's just on the side and surround channels, but this will eventually transition to a whole series with you. You're just giving us more and more flexibility to take that environment that this couple has and get it right.
Yes.
And that's fantastic.
Yeah, we are, we're audio nerds. I fully admit, it's always trying to get that little extra percent of detail, clarity, performance, and this is just one more step towards that. And really, when you think about it, if you look at the side of this, what does it look like? It looks like a professional outdoor concert where you have a J array, right?
And
it's
the
very
first thing
similar.
I thought was, this looks like a pro audio installation.
That's right. That's one of the reasons that it gives such consistent coverage, because the lower portion is firing in and the higher portions are firing out, so you get very consistent coverage all the way across the room.
Fantastic. One of the big benefits, of course, of the way that you guys do Wisdom speakers, Joe, is that really, when we think about doing a Wisdom system for the customer, these all sound the same. It's really just a matter of how large is the space that we're trying to fill with audio. So in so many of our brands, this one doesn't sound as good as this one, doesn't sound as good as this one. With you guys, it's a family sound that kind of goes through all the products, right?
That's right, that's right. As a manufacturer, as a small manufacturer, we're not a big, huge corporation. We really try to maximize parts and pieces throughout our line. Sage Cinema, planars, woofers, as you can see through the whole line, it's all the same things, but like Joe said, we put them into different size boxes, in the wall, on the wall, just depends on the application, but the products that are in there are all the same. We use the same driver technology throughout the entire line, whether it's our entry-level, in-ceiling product, all the way up to our most expensive product, it's all the same technology. We don't make a dome tweeter for this and a cone tweeter for that and this tweeter for that. It's all the same technology.
Yep.
Well, this is our brand new Sage All-Weather product. So we introduced Sage All-Weather last year at CEDIA. This product is now available to order. It's a full line of outdoor products, both in-ground, or I should say mounted to the ground product, and also on-wall product. We have the L75, which would be a single cabinet as an on-wall or a freestanding. We have the L150, which is a full planar section and a full woofer section, equivalent to a 15-inch woofer for your outdoor space. We have a C225, which has 3 boxes, so it's 2 sets of woofers. That's equivalent to an 18-inch driver to give you great bass across the area that you're playing into. And then we have a L100, which is shorter, both as a freestanding and on-wall. And then we have a C150, which is shorter and also 3 cabinets. So we have a lot of different applications that you can use. These are a stainless grill, fully enclosed on the back. We have a very unique mounting system. For the base, when you do these as a freestanding, there's actually bolts that go into the ground that are concreted in. They come up, and that's what's actually bolted through the bottom of the base to hold them in place. The other thing that we did for the on-wall version, if you look at a wall, just like this wall right here, I had them build this specially for us. It's very unflat. So you can't take a flat back and mount it on that wall.
Right.
So we came up with a system that allows us to have a bracket that extends out, and then you mount the speaker. So uneven surfaces, which a lot of outside surfaces are, give us the ability to still mount these as an on-wall product. Mm-hmm. The final big benefit, and this kind of just came out of nowhere, in the traditional past, we've only had 3 floor standing speakers, the LS4, the P48, and the L75. Now, by doing this new bracket, we actually have an L150 that you can sell as a indoor product and have a really nice indoor product that looks fantastic and is a freestanding loudspeaker.
And we're delighted, Joe, to see that you're doing more upscale outdoor solutions, because what we're seeing with what people want to do with the outdoors, they're in many cases putting in kitchens that are better than the kitchen in my house outdoors.
Yes.
And so an upscale outdoor solution is great. And maybe we can also just swing around the back side here, and we'll take a look at what you mean by the different sections.
Yeah, I just want to give one more quick benefit of this before we run over there and see what's actually in the box. One of the benefits of line source is power over distance. Instead of having to have a whole bunch of speakers scattered, something like this can cover your whole backyard. And the other benefit of line source, it comes off like this, but it also has 180 degrees of dispersion. So not only do you get great sound over distance, but even if you're over on the left side of the yard or the right side of the yard, you're still going to get very consistent sound coverage. So while our speakers are premium, you don't need as many to cover as large of a space. So you're going to have great performance, less boxes, but yet a beautiful design, custom colors. Again, these are all made in Carson City. We have multiple colors available, different powder coat colors, so we can really match the decor that the client has and really make it a great experience.
And that power over distance means that we don't have to do as much digging through the yard. The installation is going to go more smoothly for the customer.
That's right. So as I mentioned earlier, Wisdom is an American company. We build, we manufacture everything in-house in Carson City, Nevada. We brought powder coating in, we bought paint booths in, we've got gasket making in-house. We've got a wood shop now in-house. We're building our subwoofers in-house, build our electronics in-house. And when you look at other brands of speakers that come from overseas, you know, they'll have plastic backs and they'll have plastic sides and, you know, things to really cut cost in the end. We use, you know, it's steel, it's aluminum, it's real American metal, right? And that, we feel that makes a difference. You know, weight is horsepower, as they say, right? And, you know, when you pick up a Wisdom speaker, even our entry-level speaker, the P2i, you know, at $1,800, is all that same technology, planar magnetics, even these oval-looking racetrack drivers, which when I first heard about Wisdom, I thought, what is that, like a TV speaker? And then I, you know, started to really look at what's really in there. Things like this inverted rubber surround on here, we had to do that because the speaker has so much excursion. Their first design was blowing the grills off. So we had to go with an inverted design just so we could get the excursion to make the kind of bass response. Even those drivers are made in America. Mm-hmm. So that's a, it's, you know, it's an American company made in America. We love our products. So our electronics are also made in America. We do not OEM from another manufacturer and just put our name on it. These are designed, engineered, and built one by one by hand in Carson City, Nevada. Our bigger amplifiers, the SA2 and SA3s, use a giant Teradio power supply. All of our DSP amplifiers have Dante built in. We have 1-channel, 2-channel, 3-channel, and we have 8-channel amplifiers, also all built in America. You can see the Wisdom logo, the Wisdom boards. We use ICE power modules, so we have great power output. The big amplifiers are stable into 1 ohm. They'll make 1,100 watts a channel into a 1 ohm load.
Wow.
Flat stackable. You don't have to worry about cooling. You don't have to worry about adding fans. As you can see, there's no fans in the big amp. The new 8 channels, we had to add a couple little fans in there kind of as a cross flow because we upped the power in them. And when you're putting 8 channels of high power in one chassis, you know, there's going to generate a little bit extra heat. So, but when we say you can flat stack all of our amplifiers from the floor to the ceiling in a rack, and you don't have to worry about, you know, overheating, shutting down, any of that kind of stuff.
And Joe, let's talk about the benefit of you guys manufacturing the whole thing, because as you know, if I buy this beautiful new amplifier that I'm so happy with, it might sound great with my speakers, but not so much with your speakers. You might really be better off buying a different amplifier entirely. You guys have control over the entire sonic signature.
Yes, so that's a huge thing. In our DSP amplifiers, every speaker that we build, we have a clippable analyzer in Carson where we do all of our manufacturing and testing, and we know all the properties, the frequency response, everything about our loudspeakers. That allows us to design filters, PEQs, crossovers, specifically for our products that are in our amplifiers. It also allows us to do FIR filters, which you can look it up later, but basically it allows us to have perfect phase response. So whether you're using a line source speaker, a point source speaker, or combining them together, line source and point source, you can have a perfectly matched phase system, which is a much more smooth, much more dynamic, flyovers, you know, all those kinds of things. Everything is just much smoother. When you talk about like the optimizer and Dirac, they try to do FIR filters and phase matching, but when you're putting a microphone in a room and you've got reflections, the microphone doesn't know what's real and what's a reflected sound. That can only be done in our amplifiers. Right. So that's a big, big deal for us.
So really, that's also a part of what we've been talking about a little bit, Joe, throughout this video, is that there's a coherent sound to pretty much everything Wisdom does. Joe, we want to thank you so much for spending time with us. And we want to thank you for watching this video. We really appreciate having you along to share our passion for audio and video. If you haven't thus far, please like and subscribe, because at Gramophone, that helps us out a lot. And click that little bell icon so that you're always notified of our upcoming content. You can learn more about Wisdom Audio by going to gramophone.com, and of course, learn also about all our other manufacturers there. Thanks again for watching this video. We look forward to seeing you at the next one.